Hello, everyone. Now that you have completed your digital three-dimensional model of the Farnsworth house, we are going to look at how you can extract the drawings that you're going to be submitting for this assignment. You need a floor plan, 2 exterior elevations, 1 longitudinal design section, 2 exterior perspectives, 1 interior perspective, and then 1 rendering. Now, for this video, we're going to focus on the first 7. The last one we are going to be using Lumion for, but that you will find in a different video. Okay, so we're going to focus on the first 7. Let me go ahead and escape from here. Let's go back into your model, and we're going to start with the floor plan. Now, in order to do so, I'm going to turn off my layer 0 where we have the floor plan itself. We're going to create a digital floor plan here in SketchUp. Now, a floor plan is a horizontal section taken approximately 4 feet from the ground. Now, in this case, we're going 4 feet from the finished floor on the upper terrace, okay? All right. In order to do so, let's go ahead and take a look at your large tool set. In the second column, all the way down, you have a section plane tool. Left click there. By doing so, and when you hover over your model, notice how your cursor changes based on the plane you're on. We want a horizontal cut. So you want to go ahead and click on a horizontal surface. I'm going to start on the roof. And then notice how it creates this plane that goes beyond the model that you actually have here in SketchUp. Now, if we had more things in our model, it would go through everything. Right now, we only have the Farnsworth house, so it's just covering this area here. If you notice it's orange, in order to move it, I want to left click on it and it'll turn blue. Now hit your M key, M to move. And now I can left click on it and then I can bring it up or I can go down, right? I can find where I want to place this section plane. Now we want to go 4 feet from the ground level per se, right? We want to go 4 feet from the finished floor. That's a more appropriate way to say it. We want to go 4 feet from the finished floor. In this case of our upper terrace, I'm going to go down as far as I can until I get to the travertine tile on the upper terrace. So right about a little bit higher there. Okay, get as close as you can. And then you're going to left click to place it. Then you're going to left click again. And now you're going to type 4 feet so that you are cutting 4 feet from the finished floor. Okay. From here, what I'd like you to do, go to camera, standard views, top, go to camera. We want to turn on parallel projection because a floor plan is a 2-dimensional orthographic projection. So turn on parallel projection. And then we want to turn off the section plane, go to view, and then uncheck section plane. We want to keep the cut, but uncheck the plane. And then we want to turn off the axes. So go to view, uncheck axes, okay? Go ahead and zoom in, and then if you need to pan, you can hold down the middle mouse scroll wheel and hold down shift at the same time. Kind of fit it within the frame, center it as much as you can. Okay, what I'd like you to do is we're going to go ahead and do 2 things. We're going to save this as a 2-dimensional image, but we also want to, if I close my layers tray, we see scenes. I want to save this view in case I need to come back to it. So in order to do that, we're going to create a scene. Click on the plus sign inside of the circle and save as new style. Create scene. Notice how you have a thumbnail and it looks just like it. I want to click on the little menu option that we have here. And you should see a little window that says show details. Mine didn't pop up because it showed on the other screen. But when you click here in this arrow, oh, there we go. It would show down here, like show details. You would click there, and then with it selected, you want to change the name to a floor plan. Enter. Notice how it changes the name here. Now what we're going to do is File, Export 2D Graphic, and then we want to go ahead in your assignment 6 folder or whatever wherever you're saving your file, right? These are going to be the drawings that you're going to extract. So I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to just call it drawings. Double click. So you have your first initial first name, last name underscore A6 underscore. In this case, it'll be floor plan. And then you can always double check how to save your file by going into Canvas, and on your assignments page, I have a list here of how to name your files. So how to name your floor plan, your elevations. So here I'm asking for your south elevation, your west elevation, your longitudinal design section, exterior perspective 1, exterior perspective 2, and interior perspective. Okay. So with that being said, I have the information here for my floor plan, and then I'm going to hit export, and it's saving it as a JPEG. Okay. The next one is an elevation. Okay. We're going to do a south elevation. So you can orbit out of here. You can use your middle mouse scroll wheel and orbit, but you're missing part of your building. To bring it back, go into your camera view. Actually, no, let's go into our view menu and uncheck section cuts. Now we have it all back. Okay. Let's go now into camera view, standard views. And then our south elevation is this view here. So let's see, that considers it the front. Okay. So our front view. All right. From here, we already are in parallel projection. So it's a 2D orthographic projection here. This is our south elevation. Now, what I want to do, notice how the ground, it's kind of this gray color. The sky is a blue-gray color. So you have the horizon line here. What I would like you to do is align that horizontal line with one of the lines over here in your large tool set, one of these horizontal lines, so that as we have these different elevations, you can align it with that. And then also I want you to center it. You can zoom in a little bit if you'd like. And then I'm going to left click on, I'm going to hold down my middle mouse scroll wheel and shift so I can pan. So if I align it to this line, it's too short. This one, it's a little high. So you want to try to align it if you can. The resolution I have on my screen, it makes the buttons here look larger so that you can see it on your screen. I'm going to change my resolution. So give me 1 second, and then it'll change the size of this, and then I can potentially move it around a little bit more. So let me try that. Give me 1 second. Okay, I just changed my resolution for my screen here. So it may look a little different, but now I want to go ahead and align it to, I'm going to align it to this horizontal line right here. Okay, then center it on the left and right. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and save this scene. As of right now, for me, it's a little hard to distinguish between the ground and the sky. If it's a little difficult for you to distinguish as well, you may choose to turn on your 0 layer, because that was your floor plan, right? And notice how now it adds a black line. In elevations, we typically do see a black line to tell us where the ground is. Okay. So let me see if I can zoom out a little bit here. So I decided to turn on the floor plan so I can see that black line again, because that's my ground line. It's serving as my ground line here. All right, so once you align it to a horizontal line on your large tool set, it's centered. We want to go ahead and save that scene. So I'm going to click on the plus sign again, save as new style, and then change the name here. This is going to be our south elevation, enter, changes the name there. Now I can go to File, Export 2D Graphic, and I'm going to just at the end here, put south, all lowercase, elevation, enter. And then we're going to continue doing this. Next is for the west elevation. And I want to try to keep the scale the same. So I don't want to zoom in, zoom out right now. I'm going to go to camera, standard views, left. Okay, so the scale is the same. I'm only going to pan it so I can align the horizontal line. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit right there. Try to center it. Right there. Save that scene. Change the name here. This would be my west. Elevation, enter. And then file, export, 2D graphic. West elevation, enter. All right. Next, we have our longitudinal design section. So for that one, I'm going to orbit out now. I can orbit. I want to turn off my floor plan here. So in my layers tray, I want to uncheck the visibility there. I want to go to camera perspective so I can see this a little bit better. Okay. The longitudinal design section, that's going to be a vertical cut. So I'm going to come back to my section plane tool, which is the second column all the way down, the very last row. Click there. I want to select a vertical surface. So notice it's on the green axis. Left click here. And then I want to make sure I go between the glass and furniture. I don't want to be cutting through an I-beam here. So I'm going to hit space bar so that I can select the plane, M to move, and then I can determine where I want to make the cut. Again, I want to go between the glass and the furniture. I don't want to cut through furniture. So I want to show the furniture. I want to cut through there. Okay. So from here, I want to change my view. I want to go to camera, standard views, front. Notice how I'm still in perspective here. I want to go to camera, parallel projection. So it's a 2D view. Now I want to turn off my section planes, not my section cut, but my section planes. Go to view menu, uncheck section planes. I want to turn on my floor plan to serve as my ground line. And then I also, under view, let's see, you might find, let's see if it does it here. It may only be in the Pro version. Let me check. So there is an option for sections, like the section you see here, the section cut. Notice how what's being cut right now. We have this in white, we have this in the blue. There is an option for you to show the section cut in black. So it post-shades it for you. But I can't remember if it's only in the Pro version or if it's also here in the Make version. Okay, from here, let me just zoom in, let me prepare it, let me save this one. I'll bring it into Pro and see. The only difference is once you put this in your portfolio, if we don't have the option to post-shade here, you just need to add a black bar where you're cutting the roof plane and then the upper terrace plane. Okay, so here it's a line on the horizontal, but I want to zoom in a bit. Let's see, because this section, we're not showing the lower terrace. We're only showing the main structure itself. And I want to make sure you have enough detail. So I'm just zooming in a little bit. So the scale is going to be different. This one from the other image, the elevation itself that we saw. Now, if you want to keep them the same scale, that's perfectly fine. So you would just undo. So like in this case, I just went back twice. You can leave it the same scale or you can zoom in. Depends on how you want to represent it. We don't have it in a particular scale in the portfolio because this is just for presentation. It's not, it's going to be one image per page. We're not setting it up for construction documentation. So I'll leave that decision up to you. Here, if I want to go ahead and prepare this one, I want to create a new scene, change the name, longitudinal design section, enter. Okay, now let me save this file. Let me open it in Pro. I have Pro open as well. Let's see. And let me open this file in particular, and we'll take a peek and see if it'll allow us to post. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Here we go. Should appear now. There we go. Okay, this is an earlier version, but no matter. Let's just see if it'll cut it. I can name the section here. I want to go to camera, standard views, front, camera, parallel projection, view. Yeah, section fill. Here it is. So if I turn off the section plane, for example, and if I go to view in section fill, see how it post-shades it for you? So it's already black, it's already post-shade. So that's one of the benefits of Pro. Now, do you need Pro to do that? We could do it outside of SketchUp, and that's okay. So I'm going to keep mine in the Make version since I'm building it in Make, and I'll just fill that in later. Okay. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, can we just paint it black? You can paint the interior black. Yes, that's another alternative. You just have to make sure you get all of the elements. So for example, for materials, if you wanted to select a material, if you already have a black in your model, you can click on the little house, select black, and then you can click to paint. I don't think that one was meant, not the whole thing. Let's see, undo. Here, so we're pushing there. In this case, we already saved the scene, so I can move out from here. Okay, we wouldn't be cutting that at all. It's not being cut from our section, so that way we're going to see entirely. Okay, good. It's just this part down here. So if I, that might be tricky. I might have to split it. If I double click it, I'm going to have to draw a line there. Okay, so it's a little bit of extra work. Not too bad, but let's see, click and click on the edge so I can paint that part black. Okay, so now I should be able to. Now, in order to get the exact same view, we saved a scene. So if we went back to that scene and double click on it, it'll revert to it. Same with any of these, right? We can go back to them because we've saved them as scenes. So now that we have the poche, so you can just paint it here too, or you can paint it in Illustrator. Now that you painted it here, we can save this file if you haven't already done so, and then go to File, Export, 2D Graphic, and this will be your longitudinal design section. All lowercase. Okay, great. Now we need exterior perspectives. Exterior perspective 1 and 2. For that, I want to orbit out of here. Now notice the paint, it painted the whole roof. I don't want that. And it also painted this plane here because it was grouped. So you can just undo that. Control Z, So whatever was painted, Control Z right there. Okay. I want the rest of my building. So I need to go to my view menu, uncheck section cuts. I want to turn off my floor plan layer 0, and I want to go into perspective. Okay. So now I get to choose my perspective. When doing this for exterior perspectives, you can do like a bird's eye view, but if you want the height of a person approaching the structure, you want to use this position camera tool. First column towards the bottom, it's a person with the red X. I'm going to click over here somewhere. And then I'm going to look. So I'm using the eyeball to move. Notice how my eye height is at 5 feet 6. So the average height of your typical American man is 6 feet high. A typical American man's eye height is 5 feet 6. That is why it's set at 5 feet 6. So when you place and position your camera, the next tool you get is the look around tool, so that you're looking around and you're still at that eye height of 5 feet 6. If you want to get closer, do not use your middle mouse scroll wheel. Don't try to zoom in, zoom out, because then you're going to change the camera height. Instead, you want to go ahead and use the little feet here to walk. And it's kind of like a little video game. So watch here. You're going to left click, hold and drag. When you left click, it's going to add a crosshair. And then as you move up north of the crosshair, you're moving forward. If it goes to the right, you're moving to the right, left, and backwards. Okay, but your eye height stays the same. Oh, sorry. If you left click, you get another menu. But if I want to go in a little bit like that. Okay, so let's say I want to save this as my first exterior perspective. Okay, great. Go to your scenes, save a new scene, save as new style. Here, this would be exterior perspective 1, save. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do a file export 2D graphic. And then here, I'm going to left click on the right-hand side, exterior perspective 1. That one's saved. Great. Next, I want to, you can move around with the feet and navigate around. It might be a little tricky if you've never done this before. So you might choose, so another option, if you find this is a little tricky to navigate, we find it's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting dizzy, right? Because you can navigate through it. But if you find it's tricky, if you zoom out and you go to your position camera tool again, you could pick another location. And then it's set at the eye height, and then you can look around. Now to move back, you can use the little feet if I wanted to see the whole structure, right? So this can be my second exterior perspective, for example, because I already have a view from the front. This would be from the back, or if you'd rather do the other side, it's completely up to you what perspective you want for your exterior. For your second one, I just need you to give me a second exterior perspective. Okay. So if you like this view, great, save it. Save that scene exterior perspective 2. And then go up to file, export 2D graphic, and then change that to exterior perspective 2. Okay. But again, you can choose any exterior perspective. I'm going to orbit out, zoom out, and maybe choose a different side, right? So maybe you position your camera over here and you look around, and maybe you like this view instead, right? It's completely up to you. Okay. You only need to give me 2. That's all I'm looking for. But if you decide, you know what, I might use this for my rendering, or, I might want to save this for something else, then save it. Again, you only need to give me 2 exterior perspectives, but if you find others that you like, you can save them in case you choose to come back to them. 3, for example. All right, what else? You need an interior perspective. Okay, so we have a lot of views of the living room right now. Maybe, if you like this view better, maybe we do an interior perspective of the kitchen per se. Now, you want to do this at eye height, but we need to get into this space. So you can position your camera, for example, here. We need to walk into the building. So you're going to see that haze there? That's the glazing. So you're going through the glass and it's a little tricky. Notice how it's won't let us move further because we're hitting the glass. We're right in front of the glass. What I encourage you to do is click on the glazing. So right now it's all grouped. I'm going to double click. I want to select, there we go. So I had to double click again. I want to select just one pane of glass. I want to right click. I want to hide it. Okay, then double click outside. Now you'll be able to position your camera on the inside. And now you can look around. You can move around. Let's use the little feet. Let's see if we can enter in the kitchen space. So maybe you want this view, maybe you don't. Right, I'll leave that up to you. So, hey, you're hitting the wall. So maybe I look around. It's like, okay, well, I'm looking down a little bit, looking up. Eye height changed now because we are on the upper terrace. Okay, so if you like this perspective, great, save it. That's the interior perspective. If you're like, nah, it's not that interesting, maybe you do want the living room. Okay, that's okay too. So you can walk over, use the little feet, walk over. Again, it's kind of like a video game. Walk over, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Maybe you find this view to be more interesting. I'm gonna walk over this way, come around, back up. Okay, then I'm gonna look around. So maybe you find this view to be more interesting, right? So then whatever interior perspective you'd like, go ahead and save that scene. Change the name here. This would be interior perspective. Enter. By saving these scenes, these are going to be helpful when rendering, because in some rendering engines, these scenes become cameras in those rendering engines. So you can save this view and then render the same view. Now you can render a different view, but again, some rendering engines will save these as cameras. So from here, I want to file, export 2D graphic, and this will be my interior perspective. Okay. All right. So I know I have saved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I saved 8 scenes here. I have one extra exterior perspective. So once I've completed this, I can choose, which one are my top 2. I only need to turn in 2 exterior perspectives. So I can click here and say like, okay, I like that one. Okay, that one works. Let's see. I might decide, you know what? I really like this one and I like this one because they're 2 opposite sides. Right now, don't forget your glazing. I noticed that's still hiding. So I can go to view, or excuse me, I can go to edit, unhide last, and that back. All right, so I might choose this one and that one. And if I do that in the model, I can keep this if I'd like. I might use that for my rendering, and these my 2 exterior perspectives. So I can do that. I can just change the name of them. So if I go ahead and click, I can do that here where I can edit. I can change the name. So maybe this one becomes the extra, and I can type that in, for example. This one, I'm going to make that one my first. And you can choose whichever one you want. And this one will be 2. Okay. So that one didn't change, but this one did. So I want to make this one my exterior perspective 1 now. So I want to do my file, export 2D graphic, And I want to make that my exterior perspective 1. Replace it. Okay. All right. So I have all of my scenes saved in this file. Don't forget to save your SketchUp file. You can go to File, Save, or Control S. And then also make sure that you have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all 7 of these JPEGs prepared, because that's what you're going to turn in Canvas. These are the first 7. And then in the next video, we'll go over Lumion. I'm going to introduce you to Lumion, and then I'm going to teach you how to bring in your model into Lumion, how to build the scene, and then how to render. You only need 1 rendering to meet the requirement for this assignment. You have the option to create more renderings for extra credit. Okay, thank you.